Hey, broken salespeople. Given that today is New Year's Eve, I'm going to talk about the thing that every salesperson is talking about this time of year on New Year's Eve: alcoholism. No, I'm going to be talking about goals. How do you guys hit your actual New Year's resolutions, hit your goals for 2021, and stick to them? Stay tuned after the break and listen how. Hey, broken salespeople. Welcome to the workshop. My name is Red Staffstrom, and today we're talking about goals. We're talking about resolutions. If you are listening to this on the day that it came out, it is New Year's Eve, 2020. I can safely say that this year didn't go the way any of us planned at all. Um, Even if you hit your sales goals, there's been a lot of things that have gone on over the last 365 days, 366 days actually, because the leap year, that set us off course in many ways. You may have hit your sales goals, you may have surpassed your sales goals. Doesn't matter, 2020 is in the books, time to focus on 2021. Let's talk about New Year's resolutions. Resolutions. We've been throwing that term around for as long as I remember. Well, what's your resolution this year? What do you want to change in the new year? New year, new you. And it rarely happens, doesn't it? See, that's because the term resolution has lost a lot of its meaning. Resolution always obviously comes from the term resolute, the term where you burn the bridges behind you, where you are 100% committed, where it is no hostages taken, no quarter given, no mercy shown. You are going to accomplish what you are resolutely decided to do, what your resolve is set towards, no matter what. But that doesn't happen, does it? We don't lose those 30 pounds, do we? We don't do those 25 push-ups every night. We may do it for a week, we may do it for 2 weeks, but usually by day 21, 21 being the key number, that's usually the amount of time it takes to form a habit. Hint, hint, 21 days to form a habit. Usually it doesn't last. Usually it falls apart between day 1 and 21. And by the time February comes around, our resolution is forgotten because it wasn't a resolution in the first place. It was never something that we were resolute, nothing we were determined to really hit. We were at the time when we said it. We said it with all the right emphasis in mind, all the right emotions attached to it. But not every emotion that, like, we did really want to lose 30 pounds, but in the way that we want to hit the Powerball. It's not like we're committing all of our resources to winning Powerball. We're not spending every dime we have to find the winning lotto ticket. Hint, that's not a good idea. Don't take that as advice. But if you are determined for that to happen, you devote 100% of your resources to accomplishing that thing. Resolutions do not have the resolute part of it. So we have to change the way we set our goals. We have to change and find things that we are resolute about, things that we are unwilling to accept. I've talked a lot about rock bottom in the past. I've got family and friends who have been through the program, friends of Bill W., people who have been through Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, the program, 12 steps. Rock bottom is something that gets talked about a lot, but not in the positive light that it deserves. See, rock bottom is a beautiful thing. Rock bottom is accepting that you're not going to take these things anymore, that you are going to refuse to acknowledge your lifestyle prior to that point. Rock bottom is the catalyst for change. The beautiful thing about rock bottom is you can pick it whenever you want. You could decide that rock bottom is any given moment. If you run out of coffee today, you could decide that's your rock bottom, and 3 years from now, you could own a half dozen Dunkin' Donuts franchises, and you're never going to run out of coffee again, are you? Because that was your resolution. You refused to have another day where you run out of coffee, and you changed your life. You burnt the bridges behind you in order to get the action that you wanted, in order to get the results you were looking for. But we don't have that with our resolutions, air quotes, hopefully audible in this podcast. So, how do we get that? How do we write our goals in a way that we actually care about? See, most salespeople write their goals the exact same way. They take the number that they hit last year in the last 365 days and they add 20%. Okay. The problem is when you do that, you are literally speaking to the wrong part of your brain. You are speaking to the frontal cortex. The frontal cortex is the one that dictates mathematics. It's not the area of the brain that actually produces action. That happens in the limbic system in the brainstem. That's the emotional centers of the brain. That's where the fight or flight response is. That's where the pituitary gland is. Most of your bad decisions in life happen from an emotional place. For many of us as teenagers, it happened when our pituitary gland was going off, when we were having these rushes of dopamine, of serotonin, of whatever else. We were going after these short-term chemical bursts as opposed to the long-term ones. So when we write our goals, we can't talk to the wrong part of our brain. By talking about numbers and numbers alone, we're not going to get what we actually want, because it's not in the part of the brain that actually dictates action. The part that dictates action is the emotional center, that nougaty core. If you've listened to my episode on burritos, it's the chaos with the meat, the beans, the cheese, where all of those emotions come in is going to be where the action is taken. We say this as salespeople all the time, over and over again. In order to get people to make a decision, you need to speak to them on an emotional level, but we don't extend that to ourselves. If you want to take action, you need to speak to yourself on an emotional, not logical level. Numbers, by their pretty much very definition, are logical and not emotional. So, how do we do that? Well, we don't pick a number, we pick a price. We figure out what we want in our life, and then we price it all out. Do you want a new PlayStation 5? Okay, how much do you have to sell in the next X amount of time in order to buy that, in order to afford it? Do you want to go on vacation? Do you want a new house? Do you want a new car? Figure out the price tag for those things and work backwards. It's very, very easy. What you also want to do is use fear as a motivator. What don't you want? If you know what you don't want, it's easy to extrapolate what you do want. Figure out the things that you don't want. I don't want to live in my parents' house anymore. I don't want to be overweight. I don't want to watch my kid run around me like I'm 8 million years old. I don't want my back and my knees to hurt anymore. By using those negatives along with the positives in order to motivate yourself, it's going to be much easier for you to actually get the results. Giving yourself both the fear and the hope, because that's the way the human mind works. It moves away from pain and towards pleasure. By focusing both of those, you're forcing yourself towards that resolution. So figure out what you want and then you backtrack. What is the price that you want? What is the price that you need to pay in order to get the lifestyle that you want? It's not about taking your last year's numbers and multiplying by 1.2. That's not goal setting. That's not a goal that you're emotionally invested in. That's a goal that's a number. And when you don't hit 20% over and you only grow by 5%, guess what? You're happy because you didn't care about the 20% to begin with. There was nothing riding on that 20%. Guess what? With that 5%, you barely kept in place with inflation. but you feel like you accomplished something. Hey, I beat last year. Not really. Not really. You basically stayed flat if you stayed, like if you made 5% more. So change the way you look at your goals. Be resolute about what you want to accomplish in 2021. Be determined to hit those things. That's how you're going to actually hit your goals, as opposed to grow 5% and calling it a win. You're capable of more than that. So I hope this helps. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please take the time to like, to subscribe, to review. Reviewing really helps the channel out a lot. You could also go to brokensalespeople.com/connect. Find me on all the platforms there. And until next time, go fix yourself.